Boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this game. Final Fantasy Tactics, released on the PlayStation 1 in 1998 in North America, is an often cited hallmark game in the tactical RPG genre. My playthrough covered the War of the Lions version of the game, which released on the PSP in 2007. This version adds a much welcomed, updated translation, new playable characters, and awesome new cutscenes. Full of well-written dialogue and developed characters, multiple options for different playstyles, and a difficulty which can jump out and surprise you at any moment. Having finally beaten this game after all of these years, I can say it certainly earns its place next to other greats in the series. Final Fantasy Tactics is set in the Kingdom of Ivalice, a fictional setting with strong resemblances to the medieval period of history. In it, commoners and nobles are at odds with one another. Nobles regard commoners as disposable peasants of society, and commoners regard nobles as those who care little for their existence while having lofty opinions of themselves. The story follows main character Ramza, a member of the noble family of Beowulf Knights, and his childhood friend Delita, who was born a commoner yet was taken in by Ramza's father. Ivalice is suffering from a war which took place prior to the game's start, known as the 50 Years' War, fought between kingdoms Ivalice and Ordalia. With the death of the king of Ivalice and his two sons, conflict ensues over who's to be the rightful heir to the throne, the late king's adopted daughter, Princess Ovelia, or Prince Orinus, the surprise third son born by the late king's wife. With each heir supported by a faction represented by their respective lion battle flags, this conflict leads to what is known as the War of the Lions, with Ramza and Delita caught in the midst of the conflict, where their long-standing friendship will be tested. Dialogue in the game is written with a style and rhythm that captures your attention and strongly illustrates character motivations, fears, thoughts, and perspectives on life. The game uses these miniature diorama sets for environments, quite different than other Final Fantasies, and I believe this helps the narrative by not busying the audience with excessive background detail, but instead puts what's most important front and center, and that is the character relationships. The story unfolds piece by piece over 4 chapters, never revealing too much too soon and always leaving you wanting more, waiting in anticipation for future events to see how matters turn out. The game opens with a thought-provoking intro, which hints at the history told about the events may not be what truly happened. I thought this was a unique and grabbing intro to the game as it sets the stage for how the audience is to view what is to transpire. Is everyone who they say they are? Who truly is a hero and who is not? In any RPG, I believe the first few hours of gameplay is critical to grab the player's attention, and Tactics does not disappoint. Now, let's talk about the battle system. Like many other Final Fantasy games, Tactics also makes use of random battle encounters, albeit a little bit differently. You see, in Tactics, there is no world map in the traditional sense. Instead, you navigate from point to point on the map to reach your desired destinations. When you cross certain points on the map, marked in green, there is a chance for a random encounter to occur. Battles begin with a prep screen in which you select the characters you wish to participate in the battle along with their starting placement on the map. Once the battle begins, the game displays the winning condition for that battle, which must be met to clear the stage. Jobs cannot be changed on the party placement screen, however. You can only do that on the party roster menu via the world map or in select story battles where the game intentionally places you on the party roster menu prior to the battle. Due to this, it is imperative that you not only stay on your toes in terms of party composition, but that you save your game periodically. I will repeat again, save your game periodically. Battles and Tactics can range from being relatively straightforward to surprisingly difficult, and unless you have advanced knowledge, you never know where in that range you will end up. Trust me, you do not want to end up having to repeat the last hour or so of the game because you forgot to save, and a super powerful enemy you've never encountered before is wiping out your entire party. Character abilities are based on the job class assigned, and at the start of the game you only have access to a handful of jobs. Based on your progression while in these jobs, additional jobs will become available over the course of the game, providing you access to a variety of abilities which you can assign to your characters, including abilities that have been learned for other jobs the character is not currently assigned to. I really like this approach, as the strategist in me was always trying to figure out which combination of job abilities for my party would be best suited to the battle at hand. Sometimes my choice was not as wise as I thought, sending me back to the drawing board to try a different approach. In the War of the Lions version, there are 22 total available jobs in the game, so as you can imagine, there are plenty of opportunities to approach the game from different angles. While in battle, you also must consider several factors which will determine the flow of battle. For example, your party's placement in relation to the enemy party, the range of attack of characters, the overall turn order of units, charge times for mages, elevation differences on the battlefield, and so on. I really enjoyed the battle mechanics of this game. It gives you a great sense of satisfaction knowing that you figured out how to take out a group of enemies while taking minimal damage yourself, or unlocking new job abilities and seeing how your battle strategy morphs throughout your playthrough now that you have additional options to engage. I also came to respect the battle mechanics of the game, as a lapse of memory of a key factor about how an ability works has ruined many of my plans. For example, the monk job has an ability named Revive which can resurrect an ally if your character is standing next to them. However, this only works if the deceased unit is on the same elevation as your character. There were several times in my playthrough where I forgot about that key point and moved my character to revive an ally, only to end up disappointed. I know all that may sound complicated, and there will be a bit of a learning curve, especially for those unfamiliar with games like this, but after a few hours of gameplay, I believe a lot of this will become second nature to you. It may sound a bit weird to mention this, but I really like the tutorial included in the game. It serves as a reference for the game rules and offers various information on battle tips and navigating menu options. For those who are hands-on learners, the tutorial is also interactive, asking the player to perform actions to ensure they understand how things work firsthand. Having played many tactical RPGs that offer little to no tutorials at all, the tutorial in Tactics helps to demystify many concepts and ensure that all who play the game have the opportunity to, at minimum, start out on the same page. One area of the game that I did not like is related to the game's somewhat lack of balance, resulting in several moments in the game having the potential to soft lock your playthrough. What I'm referring to here are situations in which you encounter a difficulty spike you are not prepared for, yet you also lack the option to back out unless you load up an earlier save file, assuming you have one. Tactics has several moments in the game where upcoming battles are likely to catch players off guard with unusual difficulty spikes they couldn't have seen coming. The game also has several moments where story missions will place you into multiple consecutive battles back to back with no option to return to the world map, purchase items, or level up your jobs until those battles are completed. And to make matters worse, the game does not communicate these points of no return up front. And don't get me wrong, I have no issue with difficulty in games, but I think matters such as this can be better handled and communicated to the player such that they are able to avoid severe penalties for things they couldn't have known. Another aspect of the game I disliked is what I will refer to as false communication, specifically in the battle winning conditions. As I've mentioned earlier, before each battle, the game displays the winning condition for that battle which must be met to clear the stage. While mostly accurate, there are several instances in which the displayed winning condition is actually not true. For example, you may be facing a story battle against a character in the plot, and the winning condition is stated as defeat all enemies. In actuality, the true winning condition is met by reducing the boss character to critical HP, causing all enemies to leave the stage. This I did not understand. The winning condition influences the very strategy the player will take to achieve victory, so if the game is communicating false conditions for victory, it's misleading the player's strategy. What's interesting about this point is that there are battles in the game involving major plot characters in which the winning conditions are 100% accurate. For example, it will single out only that character and say, defeat or protect this character. So I don't understand this lack of accuracy for other battles, especially in the War of the Lions version, considering it was released 9 years after the original. If a remaster or remake of this game is ever done in the modern day, this should definitely be corrected. Finally, the third aspect of the game I disliked concerns what I will refer to as hidden information. Like I mentioned with the tutorial mode, while the game does go to a great extent to communicate tips to the player in this mode, there are also other areas of the game where little to no effort is made to clue the player in on details. One such area is not a huge deal for the majority of players, but likely is for those who want to maximize their playthrough, and that is treasure hunting. You see, on battle stages there are hidden treasures ranging from simple items commonly available at stores to rare equipment not available anywhere else. While on the stage, these can be found by stepping on the tile associated with that treasure. To my knowledge, there's no job ability in the game which reveals these treasure locations. So strategy guides and dedicated fans have went to great lengths to create maps of the battle stages with coordinates of where these treasures can be found. I'm honestly not a fan of convoluted systems like this in RPGs. Should the game ever be remade for the modern day, personally I much prefer a system for rewarding treasure to be more similar to, say, the hunt system in Final Fantasy XII and 15, where you participate in select battle missions in which the victory rewards are clearly stated up front. Tactics does include a feature called errands, which allows you to send characters on missions for a set number of days, earning you additional JP and money. However, again here, the JP and money rewards are only known to you after the errand has completed, removing the option for you to prioritize certain errands over others based on the duration and rewards. Oddly enough, one other area of hidden information lies in the job classes themselves. Both within the game manual and the game itself is the display of all available jobs in the game, even those the player has yet to unlock. As you level up certain jobs, you will meet requirements which unlock additional jobs. The problem is, these job prerequisites are only communicated to the player after the job has been unlocked. So, without consulting an outside resource, the player has no way to know what precise actions to take to progressively unlock jobs, which is critical for their game progress. Jobs typically earned later in the game even have prerequisites requiring multiple jobs to be at certain levels. Without a direction to aim in, randomly leveling up jobs to see what happens may work out, but is an inefficient strategy and will still leave the player guessing, keeping in mind there are 22 jobs in the game. The game could clear this up by just displaying all jobs within the party roster menu at the start of the game, and graying out the ones still locked to at least allow you to view their job prerequisites. Finally, these last two aren't really so much dislikes as they are nice to have improvements I would have liked to have seen. First up is a flee battle option for random encounters. Nearly all Final Fantasy games have some sort of flee or run option to escape battle. However, Tactics isn't one of them. When you find yourself in a random battle, you know you cannot win. Your only option is to restart your game, load up your last save, and hope you don't run into the same battle again. Implementing a flee option would allow players who don't wish to engage to not have to. If you end up losing out on valuable experience and JP, then so be it, but at least it was your choice. The other area of improvement would be to implement a sort of plot summary feature which plays upon loading your save file that recaps recent story events. This is something I like to see used in more RPGs really, as I've only seen it used in a few, but nevertheless it serves as a device to remind the player of where they are at in the story. Tactics includes something sort of close to this in the form of the Chronicle, accessible from the game's menu. Here, you can read up on the background of characters in the story to learn more about them, as well as rewatch cutscenes from the game. However, it would be nice if, say, based on your save file, a quick 10-second plot recap video played upon loading that file, featuring edited scenes from recent events in the game's story up until that point. Whether you find the game's story difficult to follow or not, I think this would be really helpful, especially if you go for days without playing the game and have to get up to speed again on what happened once you return to it. Well, that's all for this one. Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions was a challenging yet rewarding experience, one that I would highly recommend to any strategy fan. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below what your thoughts were on the game. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, where I will be uploading more videos sharing my thoughts on other games. Till next time.